There's a secret that separates winners from losers, and most people will never discover it because they're too busy drowning in their own feelings. Today I'm going to show you why the person who needs nothing controls everything, and how you can flip the script on anyone trying to manipulate you.
Picture 10.
Two people walk into a negotiation. One desperately needs the deal to go through. The other couldn't care less if it falls apart. Who do you think walks out with the better terms? The desperate one reveals their hand immediately. Their body language screams necessity. Their voice carries urgency. They've already lost before opening their mouth. Meanwhile, the indifferent party sits back, observes, and dictates terms. They hold all the leverage because they're prepared to walk away. This isn't just about business deals. This is about every interaction in your life.
Every relationship.
Every conflict. Every moment someone tries to push your buttons. The uncomfortable truth is that neediness is the ultimate weakness. When you need validation, approval, or emotional reactions from others, you become controllable. You become predictable. And predictable people get eaten alive in this world. Think about the most powerful people you know. Are they the ones constantly seeking reassurance? Are they explaining themselves to everyone who questions them? Are they chasing after people who ignore them? Absolutely not. They possess something rare in our needy, validation-hungry society. They possess the ability to be unmoved. This isn't about becoming emotionless. This is about becoming strategically selective with your emotional investment. It's about understanding that your attention, your reactions, and your care are valuable currencies. And like any currency, the moment you start giving it away freely, it loses its value. Let me tell you about the psychology behind this. When you care too much about what others think, you telegraph your insecurities. You show them exactly where to strike. Every over-explanation reveals another weakness. Every desperate attempt to be understood gives them more ammunition to use against you. But here's what happens when you flip the script. When you stop chasing their approval, they start questioning their own worth. When you stop reacting to their provocations, they escalate because they're not getting the response they expected. When you stop explaining yourself, they become obsessed with understanding you. The person who cares less automatically holds more power in any dynamic. They set the pace. They decide when to engage and when to withdraw. They remain unpredictable while everyone else becomes desperate for their attention.
Now, you know what you're thinking. This sounds cold.
This sounds manipulative. But let me ask you something. Is it more manipulative to be authentic about your boundaries, or to pretend you care about things that don't matter to you just to make others comfortable?
The world is full of emotional manipulators who use your caring nature against you.
They guilt you into compliance. They exploit your desire to be liked. They weaponize your empathy to serve their agenda. The only defense against this is to become selectively indifferent to their tactics. Here's a powerful example. Someone insults you in public, trying to get a reaction. The weak response is to defend yourself, to explain why they're wrong, to show how much their words hurt you. The powerful response is to remain silent, perhaps smile slightly, and continue with your day as if nothing happened. Which response do you think haunts the insulter more? The dramatic reaction they expected, or the complete indifference that suggests their opinion carries no weight whatsoever? The silence communicates something terrifying to them. It says you exist in a reality where their judgment is irrelevant. This principle extends to every area of your life. In relationships, the person who's more willing to walk away holds more power. Not because they don't care, but because they refuse to compromise their standards for temporary comfort. They understand that a relationship where you have to beg for basic respect isn't worth maintaining. In your career, the employee who's prepared to leave always negotiates better terms than the one who acts desperate to stay. Employers respect people who know their worth and aren't afraid to find it elsewhere. They take advantage of people who communicate through their actions that they have no other options. In social situations, the person who doesn't need to be the center of attention often becomes exactly that. People are drawn to those who seem complete in themselves. They're repelled by neediness and desperation for social validation. But here's where most people get it wrong. They think this means being rude, cold, or antisocial. That's not strategic indifference. That's just poor social skills. True power comes from being warm when you choose to be, but never because you feel obligated. It comes from being helpful when it serves a purpose, but never from a place of people-pleasing. The key is developing what I call emotional sovereignty. This means your internal state isn't dependent on external circumstances. Whether people praise you or criticize you, whether they include you or exclude you, whether they love you or hate you, your core remains stable. This stability is threatening to people who are controlled by their emotions. They can't understand how you remain calm in chaos. They can't figure out how to push your buttons because you don't react predictably. This makes you fascinating to some and terrifying to others. Both responses work in your favor. Let me share a story that illustrates this perfectly. There was a businessman who discovered his partner was stealing from their company. Instead of confronting him emotionally, instead of demanding explanations or expressing betrayal, he simply started moving assets quietly. He documented everything legally. When the time was right, he dissolved the partnership without drama or explanation. The stealing partner expected anger, arguments, attempts at reconciliation. Instead, he got cold efficiency. The silent treatment was more devastating than any angry confrontation could have been.
The message was clear.
You're not important enough to generate an emotional response from me.
This is the power of strategic detachment.
It's not about suppressing emotions. It's about choosing when and where to express them for maximum impact. It's about understanding that your emotional reactions are data you're giving to others about how to control you. Most people are emotional slot machines. Pull the right lever and you get a predictable response. They insult your appearance, you get insecure. They question your abilities, you become defensive. They ignore you, you chase harder. This predictability makes you easy to manipulate. But what if you became emotionally unpredictable? What if insults made you smile? What if questions about your abilities made you more confident? What if being ignored made you more selective about who deserves your attention? Suddenly, the people trying to control you lose their power. Their tactics stop working. They start questioning themselves instead of controlling you. The dynamic reverses completely. This doesn't mean you become unfeeling. It means you become strategic about your feelings. You still love, but you love from a position of strength. You still care, but you care selectively. You still invest emotionally, but only in people and situations that deserve it. The weak person loves desperately and gets taken for granted. The powerful person loves selectly and gets treasured. The weak person cares about everyone's opinion and pleases no one. The powerful person cares about few opinions and commands respect from many. Here's what happens when you master this mindset. People start treating you differently. They think twice before disrespecting you because they're not sure how you'll respond. They value your time more because it's not freely available. They appreciate your attention more because it's not guaranteed. You also start making better decisions. Without the need for constant validation, you can choose paths that serve your long-term interests rather than your short-term emotional needs. You can walk away from toxic situations instead of trying to fix them.
You can say no without feeling guilty.
This creates a positive cycle. The better your boundaries, the more people respect them. The less available you are, the more valuable your availability becomes. The less you need from others, the more they want to give you. But here's the most important part. This isn't about becoming isolated or antisocial. It's about becoming selectively social. It's about understanding that not every relationship deserves your full emotional investment. Some people earn your trust and vulnerability. Others only deserve your polite indifference. The person who learns this distinction becomes powerful because they're no longer giving away their energy to everyone who demands it. They become like a river that chooses its own path rather than a flood that goes everywhere at once. So how do you develop this mindset?
Start small.
The next time someone tries to provoke you, pause before reacting. Ask yourself if this person's opinion actually matters to your life.
If not, let your silence speak for you.
Practice walking away from conversations that don't serve you. Stop explaining yourself to people who didn't ask respectfully. Notice how different it feels to choose your responses rather than react automatically. Notice how people's behavior toward you changes when you become less predictable. Notice how much mental energy you save when you stop caring about irrelevant opinions. Remember, the goal isn't to become heartless. The goal is to become strategic with your heart, to give it to people and causes worthy of it, to protect it from those who would exploit it, to use it as a tool for building the life you want rather than letting it be a weapon others use against you. The person who masters this becomes truly free.
Free from the need for constant approval. Free from the fear of rejection.
Free from the exhaustion of trying to please everyone. And in that freedom they find real power. The power to choose their battles. The power to invest their energy wisely. The power to live life on their own terms. This is why when you stop caring about the wrong things, you start winning at the right things. This is why emotional independence is the foundation of all other forms of success. And this is why the person who needs nothing from you controls everything about the interaction.